Hola, ticha. Voy a leer el libro. Ok, vamos a leer.
Chapter 1. The Voice in the Dark. Matobo, Africa. The hot sun burned down on the small town. An old wooden sign above the road was shaking in the strong wind. The words on it were unclear now, but it read, "Welcome, President Edmund Zwane." The car moved slowly down the road. The driver was a black African man. Next to him, a fair-haired white man was writing a list of names in a blue notebook. Another white man with long dark hair sat in the back seat, holding two cameras. "She refused to tell me her husband's name," the white man in the front seat shouted above the noise of the wind. "The names of the dead are public," the driver replied. "Zwane murdered half the town. Can their luck get worse?" The driver slowed the car. "He can murder the other half." The fair-haired white man put a gun and a new notebook into his bag. He and the driver...
But he and the driver climbed out the car.
climbed out of the car.
Out of the car. Okay. Chapter 1. The Voice in the Dark. Matabo, Africa. The hot sun burned down on the small town, and all one then seen about the road was shaking in the strong wind. The words out on it were unclear now, but in red. Welcome, President Edmund Zwane. The car moved slowly down the road. The driver was a black African man. Next to him, a fair-haired white man was reading a list of names in a blue notebook. Another white man with long dark hair sat in the back seat holding two cameras. "She refused to tell me her husband's names," the white man in the front seat shouted about the noise of the wind. "The names of the dead are bad luck," the driver repeated. "Zwane murder half the town. Can their luck get worse?" The driver slowed the car. "He can murder the other half." The fair-haired white man put a gun and notebook into this bag. He and the driver climbed out of the car.
"Stay here," the driver said to the cameraman. Slowly, the two men walked across the street toward a large old stadium. Outside, two boys kicked the ball around the dry brown grass.
"Stay here," the driver signed to the camera. Slowly, the two men walked across the street toward a large, old stadium. Outside, the boys kicked a ball around the dry, brown grass.
One of the boys shouted to the two men. "They want to show us the bodies," the driver said. The boys took them into a room inside the stadium. There was a strong smell of death. The men covered their noses and told the boys to go outside. In the dark corners of the room, they could see piles of bodies on the floor. Zola now was
So,
blood on the walls.
one of the boys shouted of the two men, "They want to show in the bodies," the driver said. The boys took the men into the room inside the stadium. There was a strong smell of death. The men covered their noses and told the boys to go outside. In the dark corner of the room, they could see piles of bodies into the floor. Shallow was writing the blow into the walls.
They started to check the bodies. They recognized some of the dead and found the names of others from the papers in their pockets. The white man pulled the notebook out of his bag and started to write.
He started to check the bodies. They recognized some of the dead and found the names of others from the papers in their pockets. The white man pulled the notebook out of his bag and started to write.
Suddenly, there was a shout from one of the boys outside. Somebody's coming, the white man said. The two men ran out into the bright sunlight. There was nobody outside, only the two boys. Slowly, one boy lifted a gun and shot the black African in the chest. Then he turned to the white man and shot him in the stomach.
Stomach.
The white man fell to his knees.
Okay. Suddenly, there was a shot from the boys outside. Somebody coming the white man's side. The two men ran out into the bright sunlight, where was nobody outside, only the two boys. Suddenly, one boy lifting a gun and they shot the black African in the chest. Then they turned to the white man and they shot him into the stomach. The white man fell to the new. Okay. A ver si lo encuentro.
It's okay. He said quietly. It's okay. It was the last thing that he ever said. The boy stood over the body. The teacher says, "Pray to you," he whispered. Hiding in the back of the car, the cameraman took some photos. Then he quietly climbed out of the car and disappeared into the trees.
Okay, it's okay, he said quickly. It's okay. It was the last thing that they ever said. The boys strode over the body. The teacher said, "Good day to you," to whisper it. Hidden in the back of the car, the camera took some photos. Then they quickly clambered out of the car and disappeared into the trees.
A few minutes later, the vehicle arrived. The door opened and 3 soldiers climbed out. A tall, well-dressed African man followed them and walked slowly towards the stadium.
A few minutes later, another vehicle arrived. The door opened and 3 soldiers clambered out. A tall, well-dressed African man followed them and they walked slowly toward the stadium.
The United Nations building, New York. The main hall was full of people. Ambassadors from around the world and their assistants were listening to the Spanish ambassador's speech. The interpreters sat in glass booths above them, repeating his words into Chinese, Russian, French, Arabic.
Okay, the main hall was full of people embarrassed from around the world, and their assistant was listening to the Spanish ambassador's speech. The interpreters sat glass about over with the repeats in the war into the Chinese, Russian, French, Arabic.
Outside the hall, UN Security Chief Li Wu spoke to Assistant Chief Rory Robb. "There's a security problem at the main entrance. Put the Secretary General in the safe room. Take the Spanish ambassador out of the building. Then get everybody out."
Okay, inside the hall, UN Security Chief spoke to Assistant Chief Rory Robb. Their security problem at the main entrance. Put the Secretary General in the south room. Take out the Spanish ambassador out on the building. Then get everybody out.
A UN guard came into the English interpreter's booth as Sylvia Broom finished interpreting the Spanish ambassador's words into English. "Can you leave the building quickly, please?" the guard said.
Okay, Union Guard came into the English Enterprise, bought into the Sylvia Brown Finnish Enterprise, and the Spanish ambassador words into the English. "Can you leave the building quickly, please?" The guard said.
Sylvia, a tall woman of about 30, with long fair hair and clear blue eyes, picked up her coat and left the music case in the booth.
Okay, Sylvia, a tall woman of about 50, with long fair hair and their blue eyes, picked up her coat but left her music case into the boat.
"I need to use the toilet," she said. "This bag's heavy, and I don't want to take it downstairs. I'll get it later." The UN security officers worked quickly and emptied the building. Then they took the Spanish ambassador outside to his car.
I'm teaching a student tonight, he said. This bag heavy and I don't want to take in the downstairs. I had later. The young security officer walked quickly and invited the building. They uh, then they took the Spanish ambassador outside to the car.
Rory Robb watched the large black car drive through the UN gates. He used his radio to call his chief. The Spanish ambassador has left the UN, he said. He's in the US again.
Rory Robb watched the large black car drive through the UN gates. He used the radio to call this chief. The Spanish ambassador has left and UN, he said. He is the US again. Okay.
Sylvia spent
Sylvia.
the next few hours in a restaurant with a group of other interpreters. It was 9 o'clock at night when she returned to the UN building. She didn't see anyone as she ran upstairs.
Okay, Sylvia spent the next few hours in the restaurant with a group of the other enterprise. It was an 8 o'clock at the night when she returned to the Union building. She did see Anjan as they ran upstairs.
She opened the door to the interpreter's booth and picked up her music case. Suddenly, she heard a man's voice. "That teacher will never leave this room," he whispered. He was speaking in Kru, the language of Matoba.
She opened the door on the Enterprise, but on the picking of the hair music case instantly they heard a man's voice. The teacher was never left the room. He whispered he was speaking into the queue a language of Matabo.
Sylvia turned on a light and looked at her desk. One of the microphones in the hall below was still switched on. As the booth lit up, the man stopped talking. Quickly, Sylvia switched off the light. It was too late. She couldn't see him.
Okay. Sylvia turned on the light and looked at her desk. One of the microphones into the hall below on the still switched on as the both lit up on the man stopped talking. Quickly Sylvia switched off the light, but it was too late. She called see him, but the call see her.
See her. She was shaking as she left the booth and ran down the stairs. She heard footsteps. Then a door opened and closed. Someone was following her. She ran into the nearest room, the men's restroom, and hid behind the door. The footsteps came nearer and stopped outside. Sylvia pressed her back against the wall. Then, slowly, steps moved away.
Okay. She was shaking on the left the bow and ran down the stair. The her footstep with the door open in the closet. Some was following later. She ran into the next room, the men's restroom. At the hand began to the door. The footstep came nearer and stopped outside. Celia presented the hair back again to the walls. Then slowly the footstep moved away.
At the same time, on the other side of town, Secret Service Tobin Keller, a tall, thin man with tired, sad brown eyes, was sitting alone in a bar. He sat there for a long time. Then he went to the payphone in the corner of the room and called his apartment.
At the same time, into the other side of town, Secret Service agent Tobin Keller, a tall, this man with tired, inset brown eyes. This staying alone is in a bar. He sat there for a long time. When they went to the payphone in the corner of the room and called this apartment.
A woman's voice on the answering machine said, "You've reached the house. We're not having a good time. Please leave a message." It was his wife's voice. He put more
A one voice in the Aswin machine said, "You reached to the caller with a having a good time? Please leave me a message." It it was his wife's voice.
More money into the payphone and called the number again and again and again.
He put more money into the payphone and called the number again and again and again. Muchas gracias, teacher. Thank you. And the second video. Thank you.